You are making the customers uncomfortable. Please step away from the counter. The words sliced through the quiet hum of the boutique like broken glass. Not loud, but sharp, calculated. He stood near the central display, a compact black man in his late 40s, wearing a pressed navy bomber and black chinos. His posture was straight, his hands clasped behind his back, eyes calmly studying a limited edition timepiece. Behind the counter stood a tall man in a gray vest and rose gold name tag. Martin, floor director. His smile was rehearsed, his fingers twitching with restrained irritation. Around them, the air was cold with anticipation. Two younger employees froze mid-chat. An older white couple leaned away, whispering. The boutique's polished chrome surfaces reflected every tense glance. Sir, this is not a showroom. This is a place of business. If you are not intending to purchase, I must ask you to leave. The man didn't move. His gaze never shifted. His breathing stayed even, slow. Do you treat all guests this way, or just the ones who don't match your image of a buyer? Martin's jaw flexed. He gestured toward a security camera above them. I am simply following policy. We've had issues with, let's say, browsers disrupting serious clientele. Security emerged near the rear aisle, two uniformed men exchanging uncertain looks. The man finally turned. I asked about a tourbillon watch for my son's graduation. You refused to let me hold it. Because it is a $120,000 piece, Martin snapped. Not something we pass around. One of the guards stepped closer. The room fell completely silent. A child in the far corner stopped tapping on the display glass. You have one last chance to exit before I escalate this further, Martin said. The man inhaled slowly. Then he reached into his inside jacket pocket, not rushed, not tense, and pulled out a slim metal case. He opened it, removed a card, lifted it just enough to catch the downlight. The card bore a seal, a name, and a title founder, Blackthorn Capital. He met Martin's eyes. You just asked the owner of this chain to leave his own store. Slants, pure, absolute, a customer near the entrance dropped their phone. Another took a step back. Martin's face flushed. That's not possible. The man didn't blink. He didn't smirk. He only said, call your regional manager. Or don't. I will. His voice was still low, but it carried now, rippling through the boutique like a thread being pulled tight. One of the guards looked at Martin, then at the man. He took a slow step back. The second followed. A salesgirl exhaled. No one had realized she'd been holding her breath. Martin cleared his throat, straightened his vest, and tried to recover authority. If this is a misunderstanding, it isn't. The man walked toward the counter, placing his card firmly on the glass. Let me be clear. This is not over. Not by a long shot. He gestured toward the staff. Anyone who participated in this moment, anyone who stood silent while a guest was humiliated, will be part of my next board discussion. One of the younger associates took a hesitant step forward, her voice barely above a whisper. I tried to say something. The man gave her a single, steady nod. His voice was calm, unmoving, like iron beneath silk. Silence broke. A soft murmur from the back. Then applause. It severum, not loud, but real. Martin lowered his eyes. The associate who had spoken stepped slightly closer to the man. The guards stood still, arms behind their backs, facing him now instead of their boss. Martin's smile had vanished. The floor director stared at the business card on the glass. He didn't reach for it, didn't touch it. The seal of Blackthorn Capital gleamed under the boutique lights. The man on the other side, still nameless to most watching, stood unmoved. His expression neutral, not triumphant, just inevitable. Martin's throat tightened. He looked up, made brief eye contact with a camera mounted in the corner, then shifted his attention to the security team. Escort him to the back. I need to verify this claim. One of the guards blinked. Sir, you heard me. Now, the tension snapped like overstretched wire. The taller of the two guards stepped forward, his face uncertain, voice low. Sir, I'm going to need you to come with us. The man didn't move. His voice didn't rise. Are you sure? Martin cut in. We follow protocol, no matter who walks in. Another sales associate female, South Asian, early 20s, shifted behind the display. Her eyes wide. Her lips parted, but she said nothing. The man's left eyebrow twitched. Barely. Very well, too, he said. I'll comply. For now. He walked toward the security guards calmly, evenly, and disappeared through the side corridor marked staff only. Gas followed in his wake. Then silence. Inside the back office, the lighting was flat and clinical. A security monitor flickered with 4 camera feeds. One of the guards closed the door behind them. Martin entered moments later, phone to his ear. Yes, I said verify the ID. Now what are you minutes? Cross-reference company registry. No, I'm not calling their switchboard. Go through executive liaisons. He hung up hard, then turned to the man. If this is some kind of stunt, it isn't. You think this is intimidation? No. This is clarity. Martin bristled. You walk in, dress like that, and expect red carpet treatment. The man said nothing. Martin paced. I've worked here 9 years. Nostin. Not once have I been accused of mistreating anyone. The door opened. It was the young associate from earlier, the one who hadn't spoken. Her voice trembled. Sir, someone just posted a clip of the incident. It's already got thousands of views. Martin turned pale. The man remained seated. His fingers drummed lightly against the chair's armrest. You've got 30 minutes, he said. Before this escalates beyond your store. Martin opened his mouth, closed it, swallowed. The man stood. Let's go back out. He straightened his jacket, adjusted a cufflink. You spent the last 10 minutes trying to erase a mistake with silence. Let's see how that worked. Outside that door, some of them are still filming. Every second we spend here, their stories are spreading. I'm not the one who needs to worry about reputation today. Martin didn't respond. He stood still for a beat too long, then turned sharply, muttering something no one heard. His shoes tapped hard against the tile as he pushed the door open. The man followed, not rushed, not slow, just deliberate. Behind them, the younger guard exhaled quietly and shook his head. The boutique had changed. When they stepped back into the showroom, conversations fell to a whisper. Phones lowered, then rose again. Everyone saw them reappear, Martin first, stiff-backed, jaw clenched. Then the man, calm as before. A woman near the register took a step aside as if clearing a path. Martin walked quickly toward the front desk, trying to regain control of the space. His voice came out too sharp. Let's resume normal operations. No one moved. The younger associate from earlier, still near the central case, was frozen mid-polish. A customer whispered to her, but she didn't reply. Martin turned to the nearest staff member. I need someone to retrieve Mr. Shaw from Regional. No one moved. The man's voice broke through. That won't be necessary. Martin turned. His eyes darted to the man's pocket. Are you recording me? The man didn't answer. From near the doors, a teenager called out. Sir, is it true you own this place? The man glanced at him, then looked around. People stood still. Every phone raised. He stepped forward, took a slow breath, and finally said, I am the founder of Blackthorn Capital. This boutique and 6 others like it are part of our luxury investment wing. A collective inhale passed through the room. Martin tried to speak. Let's take this to the office again. No. The man's tone didn't rise, but the word cut. You've made enough moves behind closed doors. Time to do this in the light. He turned to face the crowd. This store failed a basic test today. One man's assumption tried to define my worth. I let it go far enough to see how deep it runs. Martin interrupted. You baited me. The man looked at him for a long time. You baited yourself. Martin's lip curled. This is slander. No. This is documentation. The man lifted his phone, pressed a button. The screen lit up. It had been recording since before he entered the office. A ripple passed through through the staff. Martin turned white. You can't. The man raised a hand. He wasn't done. This isn't about punishment. Not yet. It's about showing you how quickly reputation dissolves when built on sand. He walked to the middle of the room, looked at each employee in turn. I want everyone to hear this. He paused. I'm issuing a suspension of in-store operations, effective immediately. The location will be closed for internal audit and personnel evaluation. Martin lunged forward. You can't shut this down without board approval. The man turned. I don't need the board. He reached into his coat and withdrew another item, a slim, sealed envelope. Inside it, a printed memo bearing his signature. Authority was never your problem, Martin. Accountability was. He handed the envelope to the wide-eyed associate beside him. Please inform your team. She nodded. Sielinda Rebus Chosurantin. Her hands trembled slightly. The man looked at Martin one last time. Go home. Martin opened his mouth, but no sound came. Then he left. No one stopped him. The man stood alone in the silence he left behind. Then slowly, the room exhaled. The boutique had emptied. Staff clustered near the front counter, whispering. A few customers lingered outside, peering through the windows, unsure if they could still enter. In the back, the man stood with the younger associate, her name tag now visible, Priya. She held the envelope with both hands. I didn't know what to do, she said softly. I thought he'd calm down. He looked at her. You froze. That's not a crime. But it's not nothing either. She nodded, swallowed hard. From down the corridor, a new figure appeared, early 50s. Crisp blazer, wire-rimmed glasses, ID clipped to the lapel, Derek Marsh, regional director. He approached quickly, face drawn tight. I just landed 15 minutes ago. I came straight here, he said. The man didn't respond. I watched the footage with Tomasa Shuzwinter Durden from the last 2 weeks. It's consistent. Turioi, not just Martin. Priya looked up. Derek turned to her. You've been logging complaints, quietly. I read your file. I didn't think anyone would, she whispered. You did the right thing. The man studied Derek's posture, then nodded. Begin a full audit. Off the record. Every hiring file, every exit interview, every ignored escalation. Already started. The man walked past him toward the main floor. Priya hesitated, then followed. Just as they reached the front, a phone buzzed on the counter. One of the silent staff picked it up, turned pale. Sir, it's on the news. The man didn't ask which network. He turned to Priya. Send legal, the clip you showed me. Have them flag any others. And get someone from PR on standby. Do you want me to deny anything? He shook his head. No, we own it. Completely. He stepped forward, looked through the boutique window as more people gathered. The story had just begun to spread. Inside, the remaining employees watched from behind the glass. No one spoke. One adjusted their name tag. Another checked the time, then lowered their wrists like they were ashamed to still be there. Priya stood by the door, phone in hand, waiting for further instructions. The man glanced at her. Reach out to the internal training leads. Tell them I want a draft recovery plan by end of day. She nodded and turned away quickly, already typing. He remained by the window, watching a new crowd form. A mother pointed him out to her son. Someone else took a photo. He didn't blink. 3 weeks earlier, Marcus sat in silence across from his wife. The dining room was dimly lit, a soft jazz tune humming in the background. He hadn't touched his salmon. She circled her fingertip around the rim of her wine glass. You're doing that stare again, she said, eyes on her plate. Marcus blinked slowly. What stare? The one you do when you're about to make a move, but don't want to admit it. He leaned back, sighing through his nose. I'm stopping by the Michigan Avenue store next month. Her fork paused midair, without telling anyone. They've had 5 complaints in the last quarter. Different managers, same patterns. She finally looked at him. You think it's about race? I think something stinks, and I won't smell it by watching sanitized reports. A silence stretched across the table. Going in undercover again, she asked him. He gave a small nod. Her gaze softened. You remember Atlanta? Corner store. A freak he's gone on. Backpack search, he said quietly. You were 12, and you were crying. So were you? Marcus glanced at the window. Headlights traced shadows across the glass. I've walked through too many doors that weren't made for me. This time, I want to see how they behave when they think I don't belong. She rose, walked behind his chair, and placed her hands gently on his shoulders. Then remember, she whispered, you're not just walking in for you anymore. He closed his eyes, her fingers steady against his collarbone. Outside, the jazz track shifted, but the room stayed still. She sat back down and reached for her glass. You won't tell them who you are. He shook his head. Not unless I have to. You know what you're walking into. I do, earworm. And what if they say nothing cruel but treat you like air? Then I'll see the truth anyway. She studied him, the weight of history unspoken between them. You've built walls higher than this city, she said. Just be sure you know when to break one down. He looked at her, eyes steady. That's why I married you. You always see the cracks before I do. She smiled faintly. Just remember, people don't always show their worst with words. I know. She pushed her plate forward, half finished. You've always believed in giving people the chance to reveal themselves. Not all of them. Just the ones who think they're safe when I'm silent. Her hand brushed his. Then don't stay silent too long. Marcus stood slowly, taking their plates. I won't unturn. In the kitchen, water ran, plates stacked. He looked out over the city again, its lights blurred behind glass. His reflection stared back, calm but coiled. And he knew silence was never empty. It was just loaded. She watched him from the hallway as he rinsed the last plate. And Marcus. He turned his head slightly. Don't just expose them. Use it. Build something better with it. He didn't reply. He didn't have to. The lights over the sink glowed warm and quiet, reflecting off steel and stone. He reached for a dish towel, dried his hands slowly, then walked to the window. Outside on the city pulsed impatient, hungry, unaware of what was coming. And somewhere in that skyline, a store waited. A test waited. A choice waited. The boutique lights buzzed faintly overhead. Marcus stood near the same central display, hands clasped behind his back. The glass case in front of him reflected the crowd gathering outside. Phones still raised. Behind him, Priya approached carefully. Legal confirmed, she said. The footage is protected. We've got timestamp backups on cloud and internal. He nodded once, eyes fixed on the reflection. And press inquiries. Coming in, but slow. Everyone's watching the original clip before they ask questions. A pause stretched. He glanced toward the staff. A few stood in corners, unsure if they should speak or disappear. One associate picked nervously at their sleeve. Tell them to go home for now, Marcus said. They'll be contacted individually. Priya hesitated, even the ones who didn't do anything. Especially them. He turned away from the display. The boutique looked different now. Same walls, same light but colder, like it had just blinked awake. At the far end of the showroom, a soft knock tapped against the glass. A woman stood outside, middle-aged, swart, not recording, just looking in, steady. Her coat was plain, her shoes worn. She made no move to enter. Marcus walked slowly toward the door and opened it halfway. I saw the video, she said, just wanted to say it mattered. He held the door for a second longer, nodded once, then quietly closed it again. The boardroom smelled of fresh lacquer and tense silence. A long mahogany table stretched across the room. At one end, Marcus sat, flanked by two legal advisors. Across from him, regional managers shifted in their seats, folders unopened, coffee cups untouched. A large screen behind Marcus displayed paused footage of the boutique's showroom, caught from 3 different angles. Derek stood by the door, arms crossed, saying nothing. We've had 32 incidents flagged since last quarter, Marcus began. 10 stores, just 6 to Nimworm, 9 cities. The screen changed. A collage of stills, different faces, different staff. But the posture, the same arms crossed, eyes rolled, silent dismissal. This, he said, pointing, isn't isolated. It's institutional. One manager cleared his throat. With respect, sir, a lot of those guests never made a formal complaint. Marcus looked at him flatly. You don't wait for smoke to turn into a fire before checking the wiring. He clicked the remote again. The screen played the Michigan Avenue footage. No usher, just images Marcus being ignored, being blocked, being touched by security. Someone exhaled loudly. Another manager shifted, muttering, I didn't know it was that blatant. Marcus didn't respond. We're not here to debate whether it happened. We're here to decide who remains part of this company and who doesn't. Derek finally spoke. We've completed the internal audit. 5 managers recommended for immediate termination. 3 more under review. Marcus turned to legal. Make sure the severance is generous. We're not punishing ignorance. We're replacing it. Someone at the table scoffed. Marcus's eyes didn't move, but his voice cut through. Whoever just laughed, pack your things after this meeting. Silence again, harder this time. Then the door opened. Priya entered, holding a tablet. Her hands trembled slightly. Sir, she said, we have something else. From Tiffany, the associate who stood by in Michigan Avenue. Marcus gestured her forward. She placed the tablet on the table and played a recording. A quiet voice filled the room. I thought if I spoke up, I'd be fired. I saw it happen before, not just to guests. What, sir? To employees, too. The ones who asked too many questions. Who helped the wrong kind of customer? The room stayed frozen. No one touched their coffee. Priya stepped back. Marcus let the silence breathe. We created a culture where fear was stronger than integrity. That ends today. He stood, looked each manager in the eye. We'll rebuild. And next time someone walks in who doesn't look like your idea of a customer, you won't be guessing who they are. You'll be watching them walk past you, straight to the top. Outside the boardroom, the building's atrium buzzed with movement. Word of the meeting had already trickled out. Employees passed each other in tense silence. Some checked their phones with pale faces. Others just watched the elevator numbers descend. Upstairs, Marcus returned to his office. The blinds were half drawn, slicing the sunlight into sharp lines across the floor. Priya followed, holding another envelope. It came through compliance, she said. An anonymous internal memo. Marcus opened it carefully. Inside was a printed email chain dated 6 months earlier. A senior manager discussing how to visually filter guests who didn't match the luxury profile. Attached a spreadsheet. 9 was Intornes. Descriptions. Even internal tags. Marcus stared at the list. Tag 4C, caution, likely browsing, not buying. They'd been profiling based on appearance, Priya said. Across multiple stores, staff were told it was part of optimizing experience. Marcus placed the paper down slowly. How many of these names filed complaints? At least a dozen. Some didn't even make it past the entrance. He stood in silence, then picked up the phone. Call legal, call PR, and prepare a statement. To the press, Priya asked. To everyone. Customers, staff, investors. All of them. He looked out the window, voice steady. They need to know this was never just about one store. She waited. He added, we won't just clean it up. We'll burn the whole script and write something new. Outside, the city moved unaware for now, but not for long. He didn't sit. He walked to the large whiteboard by the corner and erased every marker stroke until only the date remained. Then, slowly, he wrote, no assumptions, no exceptions. Sopranatum. Below it, a second line, if they wouldn't respect him at the counter, they'll hear him at the podium. Namanarno. Priya watched, still holding the memo. Her voice came quieter now. Should I alert the diversity leads? Number na, turn. Alert the architects. We're rebuilding policy, not branding. His marker clicked shut. Outside, clouds rolled in over the skyline. Inside, the war had begun, and it wouldn't be fought in shadows anymore. Marcus picked up the phone again. Add a final line to the statement, he said. We'll be launching a third-party oversight council. Inclusive, unpaid, empowered. Who leads it, Priya asked. Former customers. Ones we failed. She paused and then nodded slowly. He sat at his desk at last, but not to rest. His laptop screen glowed back to life. Open tabs, news headlines, investor dashboards, security archives. One video already had 12 million views. A message blinked on screen. Internal thread. Subject line urgent, whistleblower revelation. He clicked. A short email from a former assistant manager. Attached were photos. Group chats. Memes shared privately among staff. Mocking customers with lower income visual cues. Marcus's jaw tightened. Not in anger. In calculation, forwarded to compliance. And have legal prep a class action shield. Priya didn't ask why. She just moved. He stared at the photo, a poorly lit meme of a mother holding her child outside a boutique. Captioned, when you bring your refund energy into a 5-star store. Below it, reactions. Laughing emojis. Thumbs up. He closed the window. Outside, wind pressed against the glass like something trying to get in. Inside, Marcus whispered the only words that fit. Burn it all. From the script to the floor plan. Then start over. 2 weeks later, the boutique reopened under a different name. Gone were the towering counters and velvet ropes. The interior had been redesigned, more light, more transparency. Staff uniforms had changed too. No longer black suits, but soft grays and navy blues, comfortable and unassuming. A brass plaque near the entrance read, "Luxury is not exclusion. It is excellence made visible to all." Marcus stood by the door that morning, not in a suit, but in a plain white shirt and slate trousers. He greeted the first customer himself, a middle-aged woman in a patterned dress, hesitant, unsure if she belonged. "Good morning, he said. "Come in. We've been waiting for you." Across the country, 10 stores underwent simultaneous training cycles. The culture protocols had changed bias audits, rotating team leads, and a new evaluation metric, grace under pressure. 3 former managers had already filed wrongful termination claims. Marcus didn't flinch. Legal was prepared. At headquarters, Derek held weekly open forums where junior staff could speak freely, anonymously if needed. Each week, names changed. Stories didn't. They asked if I was in the wrong store again. I watched my client walk out because no one greeted her. One by one, the stories were logged, coded, addressed. Not with memos, but with redrafting of entire policies. Outside the Michigan Avenue location, press gathered. Marcus stepped to the podium for the first time since the scandal broke. His voice was calm. He didn't read from a script. We didn't fail because one man said the wrong thing. We failed because too many said nothing. He paused. This isn't a rebranding, it's a reckoning. And if we're lucky, a restart. The cameras flashed. It's just a re. Reporters shouted, but he stepped back, letting Priya take the next question. It was never meant to be his redemption alone. It was a systems reckoning. And now, finally, it's rebuilding. Later that evening, Marcus walked the sales floor after closing. Lights dimmed, shelves freshly cleaned. He ran his hand along the edge of the central display case, newly lowered to eye level. No more towering glass. A trainee stepped out from the back room. Young, nervous, eyes bright. Sir, I mean Mr. Wellington. I just wanted to say thank you for giving someone like me a shot. Marcus smiled lightly. What's your name? Deshaun, Deshaun, remember this. You're not here because of mercy. You're here because you earned it. The system just forgot to see you. The trainee nodded, eyes glinting. In that moment, the rebuild wasn't in policies or press coverage. It was in a kid standing taller just because someone looked him in the eye. 6 months later, the equity collection had grown from one shelf to a full wing. Each piece bore a small silver tag, the artisan's name, their story, their first break. Above the entrance, etched into glass, a single phrase, belonging is not granted. It's recognized. Marcus walked through slowly, nodding at visitors, some in hoodies, some in heels. No one asked if they belonged. That question was no longer part of the script. Tiffany now led onboarding for new hires. Her voice steadier, her posture higher. She never called herself a manager, but everyone deferred to her anyway. Priya stood beside a display labeled First Chances. Next to it, a quiet corner where guests could write about their first time being treated like they mattered. A small girl, maybe 12, scribbled something on a card. Her father watched nearby. The girl looked up at Priya. Do you work here? Yes, I do. Did you help make all this happen? Priya smiled. Not alone. The girl handed her the card. On it today, I didn't feel small. Marcus watched from a distance, then turned as Derek approached. Sales are up 20%, Derek said, handing over a report. But that's not what people talk about. Marcus glanced over the numbers, then closed the folder. Let them talk about the silence we broke, the rooms we opened. Outside, on the boutique's front steps, a woman posed for a photo under the new logo. She held her daughter's hand. The caption she typed read, "We walked in, no one blinked." The post went viral within hours. And for once, the comments weren't about what someone wore, or bought, or proved. They were about what they felt. And that was the point all along. Later that night, the boutique closed under a soft autumn sky. Marcus remained inside, lights low, the floor quiet. He made one final round, not checking, just remembering. At the exit, a custodian nodded at him. Older man, Ciceriguinus, faint limp. You that guy, he asked. Marcus smiled gently. Some days, Surakunum. The custodian nodded again. Well, thanks for turning the light on. Marcus locked the door behind him. And for once, the city didn't feel like something to conquer. It felt like something slowly opening. Have you ever been judged before speaking? Stopped before stepping inside? Labeled before being seen? Then you already know what Marcus fought to change. This wasn't just about a necklace or a store. It was about what we choose to see and who we choose to respect. So if you believe that dignity doesn't require a dress code, if you believe a customer's worth isn't measured in their shoes, if you believe change starts with one voice willing to hold the door open, then type respect in the comments. Share this story with someone who's ever been overlooked. And tell us, where are you watching from? Because this conversation, it doesn't end here. It starts with you. Maybe you've held your breath while shopping. Maybe you've smiled more than you felt just to seem safe. Maybe you've walked out without saying a word because silence felt easier than shame. You're not alone. And stories like Marcus's remind us we're allowed to expect more. Respect isn't luxury, it's the baseline. So hit subscribe to Unveiled Wealth. Drop a comment, share this video, and next time you see someone being overlooked, look their way. It starts with one person. It starts with us.